Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today is October 18th, and that's the feast of St. Luke the Evangelist. So we're going to dig into some of the readings associated with that.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating set of texts. We're basically looking at the core of early Christian mission.
And it's surprisingly demanding, isn't it? Very personal, but also intensely practical.
Absolutely. We're jumping between two very different scenes. You've got Paul kind of isolated, making these final appeals.
Right, almost desperate.
And then you have this huge deployment of disciples by Jesus with these, pretty radical instructions.
Okay, so our mission today is to unpack what these texts tell us about, carrying out any mission, really. And the core idea seems to be this combination.
It's a blueprint, yeah. First, you need that radical loyalty, that personal faithfulness we see in Luke. And then comes the call for radical vulnerability, the kind of self-emptying demanded of the 72.
Loyalty first, then vulnerability. Okay, let's unpack this.
We really have to start with 2 Timothy. That gives us Luke's context. It's Paul's last letter, written under, pretty extreme pressure.
You can feel the stakes are incredibly high.
Oh, definitely. He talks about this crisis of companionship. He says flat out, at his first offense, no one appeared for him.
Wow. Nobody.
And then he broadens it. Everyone deserted me. I mean, imagine that. It's not just feeling lonely. It's like the whole support system just collapsed.
Yeah, right when he needed it most. But he also names names, doesn't he? Demas, Crescens, Titus.
He does. He gives reasons, too. Demas was enamored of the present world, went off to Thessalonica. Crescens and Titus went elsewhere.
But then there's that line, that bit of grace.
Exactly. May it not be held against them. It's quite remarkable, that compassion, right after detailing the abandonment. What's fascinating here is Paul gives these, understandable reasons. Maybe Demas feared for safety, maybe the others had duties, but he doesn't linger on the hurt.
He pivots.
Right. He pivots straight to the crucial fact, Luke's loyalty.
Wait, so is that where the famous line comes in?
That's it. Paul just states, Luke is the only one with me. Simple as that.
When everyone else is gone.
Everyone. Either fear or priorities or other tasks took them away, but Luke stayed. That single sentence. It's like the ultimate validation of faithfulness in crisis. It defines Luke.
Not just as a writer or a doctor, but as the loyal companion.
The benchmark for loyalty, yeah.
And you can see Paul leaning on that loyalty, can't you? With those requests he makes, they seem so human.
Very human.
Yeah.
And practical. He says, bring the cloak I left with Carpus and Troas.
Just a cloak. He's probably cold in prison.
Basic physical need. But then the request gets more specific, more urgent. The papyrus rolls. Okay, maybe general documents, letters.
But especially the parchments, he emphasizes that.
Exactly, and that's a key detail. Papyrus was, common for everyday stuff. Parchment, that was different. Animal skin, durable, expensive.
So the parchments were the important stuff.
That's the idea. High-value texts, maybe copies of the Hebrew scriptures, maybe Paul's own definitive letters, the really crucial writings.
So even in prison, facing death, he's focused on preserving these core texts. The cloak for survival, the parchments for the mission's future.
It shows the mission is grounded, but also focused on the lasting word. Texts matter hugely.
And he's also managing his team, even from prison, asking Luke to get Mark.
Yeah, get Mark and bring him with you, for he is helpful to me in the ministry.
That's significant, right? Because Mark had left a mission earlier.
He had, famously so. This shows Paul's willingness to reconcile, to bring people back into service where they're needed. It's practical leadership.
But there's danger, too. Real danger.
Oh, absolutely. He warns Luke about Alexander the coppersmith. Says, Alexander did me a great deal of harm and strongly resisted their preaching. Guard against him, Paul says.
So mission involves all of it. Loyalty, logistics, texts, reconciliation, managing threats.
It's not abstract theology. It's messy and real.
But even with all that, the desertion, the danger, the needs, Paul brings it back to the bigger picture.
He does. He says, despite everything, the Lord stood by me and gave me strength.
So that through me, the proclamation might be completed and all the Gentiles might hear it.
Right. The success ultimately rests on God's strength, not on whether everyone stayed loyal or whether he was comfortable.
Okay, so that's the picture of intense personal need and loyalty. But then, how does the actual proclamation happen on a larger scale? We shift gears completely to Luke chapter 10.
Right. From Paul needing specific items, we go to Jesus sending out the 72 with basically nothing.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because the instructions seem almost the opposite of Paul's situation.
It's this fundamental paradox in the mission blueprint. Jesus appoints this huge group, 72 disciples. Sends them in pairs.
Pairs, okay. So teamwork, structure, it's scalable.
Scalable, yes, but resourced by, well, nothing. That's the immediate tension Jesus points out.
The harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few.
So ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest. Right away, it's about dependence, not strategy, not supplies, but dependence on God.
And that dependence isn't just theoretical. It's enforced by these incredibly strict rules.
Violently enforced, you could almost say. He calls it sending them like lambs among wolves.
Lambs among wolves, that's stark. Vulnerable.
And the rules make that vulnerability concrete. Carry no money bag, no sack, no sandals.
No sandals. I mean, that's, wow. Paul needs a cloak later, but these guys start with less than basic footwear.
It underlines that this initial wave relies purely on, let's say, spiritual force and providence, not human preparation.
What about the instruction, greet no one along the way? That always struck me as odd. Rude, almost?
It's extreme. In that culture, greetings were complex, time-consuming social necessities. Skipping them means one of two things, probably.
Okay.
Either the urgency is absolute, this message cannot wait for politeness, or the focus required is so intense that any social entanglement, even normal greetings, is a dangerous distraction.
So strip away supplies, strip away social customs. It forces reliance on the host community and the core message.
Precisely. And when they do interact, entering a town, the rules are, again, very specific, focused on peace.
They have to say peace to this household first.
Right. And notice the condition. If a peaceful person is there, the peace rests. If not, it returns to them. They don't force it. They don't argue.
Move on if not welcomed.
Exactly. And if welcomed, the instructions on lodging are also strict. Stay put.
Do not move about from one house to another. Why?
It stops them from trying to upgrade, basically, from seeking better accommodations or richer patrons.
Ah, okay. Prevents mission creep based on comfort.
And the justification is pure practical theology. For the laborer deserves payment.
But the payment isn't money. It's
Sustenance. Food and shelter, earned through their work. And what is that work? Only two things are mandated.
eat what is set before you, cure the sick in it.
That's it. Accept hospitality, offer healing, practical, tangible presence.
And all of this vulnerability, the weird travel rules, the specific actions, it all points to one thing.
The central proclamation. The kingdom of God is at hand for you. The method demonstrates the message.
The vulnerability is the method.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you see how the loyalty Paul needed from Luke and this radical vulnerability Jesus demanded from the 72, how they fit together.
They're both essential parts of making this kingdom real.
Exactly. Look at Psalm 145, the responsorial psalm. It talks about making known the glorious splendor of your kingdom. That's the goal of all this effort.
And it describes God's kingdom as enduring, lasting through generations.
And crucially, it says the Lord is just, holy, and near to all who call upon him in truth.
That nearness, that's the resource. That replaces the money bag and the sandals for the 72.
It has to be. And that connects to the Alleluia verse from John 15.
I chose you from the world to go and bear fruit that will last.
Lasting fruit. Not just immediate results, but enduring impact. That's what the messenger is called to.
So this isn't just ancient history. It brings it right to us, doesn't it? To you listening.
It does. The sources show us these twin requirements. Radical dependence needing nothing like the 72, and radical presence being there faithfully like Luke, caring for needs like Paul requested.
We're also messengers in our own way. Sent to share love through words, yes, but also actions.
And the reflection points out that core assurance, we are never alone. His presence goes before us. That's the foundation.
The challenge is making that unseen presence visible.
Right. Making the abstract idea of the kingdom concrete. How? By serving with joy and humility.
It comes back to those simple actions of the 72. Eating, healing, combined with the steadfastness of Luke.
It's about radical presence, but without needing radical possession. Being there without needing to own or control.
So what does this all mean when you put it all together?
Well, we started with Paul's intense personal situation, his need for a cloak for those vital parchments, his warning about enemies.
Yeah, very specific, very grounded needs.
Then we saw the 72, sent out with virtually nothing. Total logistical austerity, total reliance on God and others.
It seems like the standard for real mission demands both. You need that bedrock loyalty of a Luke.
That faithfulness.
But you also need the willingness to embrace the vulnerability, the dependence that Jesus asked of the 72.
You need the commitment to preserve the parchment, the core truth, but also the readiness to go without sandals, without relying on your own resources.
It's not just about saying the kingdom is near. It's about making it visible through service, through peace.
Even if you face opposition, like Paul did, or maybe initial rejection, like the 72 might have, the core task remains.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with that final challenge from the reflection. It ties it all together.
Yeah, if the goal is making the kingdom tangible, visible today.
Then the question is, what simple act of love or service can you do this week to share God's peace with others?
That's where Paul's drama and the radical mission of the 72 actually land, right there, in that simple possible action.